Folks, what a bombshell of a memo. What a bombshell of a memo. Okay? I'm talking about the leaked memo written by Chairman of the IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, to Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba. Now, this memo has got very far-reaching implications and very far-reaching effects. Very far-reaching impact will come from this memo. Okay? We are no longer in the Supreme Court with one side giving evidence and the other side disputing. We are now right inside IEBC. And folks, what we have here is a confession from the chairman, the person in charge of the IEBC, as to what took place on the 8th of August. Okay? And the long and short of this confession is that actually on the 8th of August, there were no elections. What happened is that a few people sat in a computer room somewhere at Bomas. Some sat in certain hotels in town, and they cooked and gave Kenyans results. No wonder Raila Odinga called the elected president and his deputy vifaranga via computer. Actually, there's no other expression to describe them other than that. Okay? But even more alarming, what we have before us now is a very serious constitutional crisis. It's such a big mess that I cannot describe it any other way except call it a constitutional crisis. Now, before I tell you why I've called it a constitutional crisis, I think it is important to focus a little on the chairman of the IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, and this latest move he has made, because it's definitely a move, very well calculated move, and the whole intention of the chairman, which should be clear, is to offer mitigating circumstances, to offer mitigations to keep him out of prison. Really, that's really what it is. Chairman Chebukati has been able to read the signs of the times. He has been able to read the writing very clearly on the wall, and he has seen ahead. And what he's trying to do here is to absolve himself early, to build his case early as to why he should not be jailed along with the other criminals, because I can't think of another word, who one day will have to face justice for the great injustice and the massive fraud visited on the long-suffering, peace-loving people of Kenya. Now, what is even more interesting about the memo, the crafted memo, if you read through carefully, because the leaked memo and the details are available online, if you carefully read through the if you carefully read through the facts, because this we're getting from the chief executive of the IEBC, if you carefully read through the facts, he even mentions names. Yeah? In other words, this memo is like an affidavit of evidence. Really, that's how I can interpret it. Okay? Of course, NASA have quickly jumped onto it, and it's very instructive that the person who was given the responsibility within NASA to actually read the contents of this leaked memo to the public was not one of the principals. Yeah? It was not just another principal. It was actually Raila Amolo Odinga, who is the presidential flag bearer of the NASA coalition. Now, that is significant. Okay? And it just shows you the weight of this whole new, amazing, explosive development in this election, or sham of an election, that was the 8th of August. Now, why do I say we have a constitutional crisis? We have a constitutional crisis because there was massive theft and fraud in this election. And the people who committed this fraud, yes, according to the memo that we saw, the leaked memo, have been named. Okay? And Chiloba appears to be at the head of this particular, or rather, he seems to have been in charge of this fraud. Yes, because the letter from Chebukati is directed at Chiloba. Other people can interpret that he's trying to pass the buck. Okay, some people could interpret that, and I believe Chiloba would, in his defense, I believe his lawyers will try to say the chairman is passing the buck. However, That was going to be a very long shot, because Chebukati in his writing is very specific. Yeah, when he talks about these crimes, is very, very specific. Okay, even to the extent where his name was used to make almost 10,000 alterations, a lot of them deletions, yeah, in the server. Gosh. Now politically, what I can tell you, and what anybody will tell you, is that this is the end of the Jubilee government. Okay, it's now just a matter of time. Revelations as explosive as this can only mean one thing: this is the end of the Jubilee government. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 2 weeks, it might take a week, but the long and short of it, it is the end of the Jubilee government. Why do I say that? The massive fraud that was committed is criminal. Yeah, Kenyans have gotten into a very dangerous situation whereby we say we have this tendency, when an election result comes in, or when there's a presidential election is contested, we say, oh, there are some small problems here and there which we're going to fix. They did not affect the will of the people. Oh, there are some small technicalities here and there. The transmission failed. These are small things which you can fix later. Gosh. I'm afraid in this case, there's enough evidence, overwhelming evidence, to show that these are not small. For instance, one of the questions Chebukati asks is why the Kim's kits, these were the ones which you're supposed to use to transmit the results, was switched off on the 5th of August. Now, elections were held on the 8th of August. What does that mean? It means that there was no single transmission that took place because they were switched off. Gosh. Now, the law, the constitution, the laid down law specifically says that those results must be transmitted from the polling station. So already there, on that ground alone, technically there was no election. And there's something even big about this mess. This does not affect only the presidency. It means, the long and short of it, is that there's no single MCA, there's no single MP, there's no single woman's representative, there's no single member, there's no single senator or even a governor who was elected validly. There was no election, in short. That's the constitutional crisis I'm talking about. So now the big question, the 1 million Kenya shilling question, is where do we go from here? In my view, we only have two options. Option number one is to pretend nothing has happened. Yes. We just say, okay, fine, there are crimes committed, but we must stick to the constitution. Now, I wonder even which constitution you're talking about, because already it has not been followed in the elections. Anyway, one of the options is to go forward with the election date that has been set by the IEBC and to have elections. Now, already this path is full of landmines, because first of all, the people who committed this great crime have not been brought to account. Number two, the people who committed this great crime are still outside there. And do you think they're not going to commit the same crimes again and rig the election exactly the way they did on 8th? Do you think those people who switched off the Kim's kit will not do the same? Hey, that's a very long shot. The only other alternative is for all stakeholders involved to sit down together and find a way of appointing a caretaker government that does not include any of the presidential candidates, yes, and prepare the country for another fresh election. And by election, I mean from MCA to president. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the only two options I see. Of course, you smarter gentlemen out there, lawyers, etc., could have another solution. But personally, from where I sit, we do not have another solution. It's not possible to ignore the great crimes which have been committed. And the chairman has just now given us all the evidence, conclusive evidence, yes, of what exactly happened on that fateful day of August that will be talked about in history for many, many years to come. Kenyans have been praying for the truth to be exposed, for the truth to come out, and I cannot think of a more sensational way in which this has unfolded, in which the truth has actually come out. Because the truth has come from the horse's mouth. It has not come from a third party. It has not come from the opposition propagandists, as they are called. It has not come from Jubilee. It has come from the IEBC. It has come from the horse's mouth itself. Now, maybe before I go, I'll answer a question which I can already see Jubilee people throwing at me. And that is the question, where is Jubilee involved in this? If the crimes are committed, that's up to IEBC. Let IEBC be charged, and that's the end of it. Well, here's my answer to that question. Who did these crimes favor? Yeah? Did the IEBC do these crimes to favor themselves? No way. In fact, it will be very easy to prove, yes, that these crimes were actually committed by agents of government, agents of the current government in power. Okay? Now, because they were committed by agents of the current government in power, the government of the day is responsible. Yes? Number two, even if the current government in power had nothing to do with what happened, they are the ones who are in power, they're the ones who are responsible for ensuring that a free and fair election takes place, and they failed in their responsibility as a government. Yeah, assuming you take the very, very long shot that they had nothing to do with it and that they had no interest in it, which is a complete lie. Okay? So that is a problem. That is the huge crisis that Kenya has entered into. Now, I appreciate a lot of people will not be able to see the crisis yet, but believe you me, it is a crisis. And those who pray for the country, I ask you to continue praying for the country, even as we see what's going to unfold next. Of course, I'll keep you updated. There are a lot of other recordings I've done which I've put on hold in order to release this particular bombshell of a recording. Yes, I will continue to release those other recordings as we wait to see what happens in this major development that changes everything. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.